All right, we are recording. It's 6:15.
All right, it's 6:15, so I'll go ahead and call to order this special board meeting. There is an open meeting statement behind us there. All board members are in attendance, so we're there. We are going to split this meeting up into sections. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to have the administration give us a presentation about all of our options, and then we'll reserve some time for public comment. We're going to limit that time to 15 minutes, so I'm not sure how many people want to speak during that time, but the last 15 minutes are going to be reserved for questions. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of time for questions and answers with the administration. If you want to speak to the board in public comment, I haven't received any of those. And so,
do they need to for this meeting?
I don't think, no, for this meeting, but if you want to reserve your time for the regular meeting, you will need to give me the piece of paper that has your name and your address and all of that. So, and you can do either, you can do both, doesn't matter, but in the regular meeting, you will be limited to 3 minutes to speak during that meeting, because that's just per our policy. So with that, I think I'm going to read the public comment policy first real quick. I'm going to read our policy on public comment because I do that for every meeting, and I'll get it out of the way, and that way the rest of the meeting will just flow. So the board welcomes public input on policies and issues affecting our school district. Per state statute, speakers must sign in at the beginning of the meeting, completing the public comment form and giving it to the president of the board. Speakers will speak in the order the forms were received. That'll be for the next meeting. This meeting, we don't need to do that because this is a special meeting. Policy 8346 outlines speakers' ability to address the board consistent with free speech rights. However, offensive language and defamatory remarks will not be tolerated. Further, concerns about individual staff members that cannot be resolved at the level closest to the situation should be directed to the superintendent. This board will not permit charges or complaints against a school employee without having followed the school's complaint procedure. In an effort to maintain the ability of the board to sit as an appellate body in student and employee appeals, comments regarding individual student or personnel issues cannot be presented at this time. Public forum is an opportunity for the public to share their thoughts on matters related to the school district. Therefore, the board will not respond to questions or comments during this time. However, should board members wish to respond, they may do so at the end of the meeting, or they may respond via email at a later date. When we get to our regular meeting, like I said, that public comment will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, with a total of 15 minutes available at each meeting. We'll have 15 minutes available here. And when we do that public comment, I'm going to try to make sure that everybody who wants to speak gets a chance to speak before anybody goes twice, if that makes sense, okay? So it's kind of an open forum a little bit. So yeah, we'll go ahead and turn it over to the administrators for a presentation.
Yeah, this mic turned on. Mr. Ramchek.
Believe the button on top. And it'll turn green.
All right, here we go. Well, first of all, I want to thank the community members for being here tonight. Hopefully you have received our letter, so you know why we are going to be here tonight. We really do value your input. We're going to go over 5 options for 6th grade, talk about enrollment a little bit. I'll preface this by saying these options are not in priority preference. So option 1 that we're presenting doesn't necessarily mean that is our recommendation as an admin team. It's just the order in which I type them out. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and get started. I'll try and be done by 6:30. I'm not going to read this to you line by line. You're all smart enough to do that yourselves. Just to give you the premise behind each option, so we truly want to give you an opportunity to either ask questions or provide some feedback to the board. So the first thing I did is put together our enrollment. You can see we've been working on this for at least a few weeks. So that was the enrollment both at David City Elementary and Bellwood Elementary as of the 15th of September. I can tell you almost daily that enrollment fluctuates by a couple kids, one way or the other, not just in this building, but David City Elementary as well. And so, if you take a look, for example, if I can read it.
Sorry.
All right, kindergarten is 44, first grade 42, second 47, third 36, fourth 54, fifth 45. In parentheses is by building. So for example, in kindergarten, there's 33 in David City and 11 in Bellwood. Those are the numbers in parentheses. You can see that there's not a lot of consistency there. It's a little bit like a roller coaster. There is no such thing as an average class size. So we fluctuate anywhere from 54 to 36, and the high school is similar. I think we might even have a class of 61 or 62 at the high school right now. So that gives you the current enrollment numbers. Option one, if you want to go up and at least scroll up for the pros and cons. Option one would be we don't do anything different than what we've done the last couple of years. We continue to send all of the sixth graders to David City Elementary. Okay. Next year, 26-27, I think that would be pretty feasible if the board would choose to not do anything different than what we've done the last couple of years. The class sections, at least right now, would be 23 and a section of 22. Okay. However, if you continue reading there, the following year in 27-28, I think it becomes a problem. I think classes of 27 in sixth grade is too many. Some of that's personal opinion I'm giving you, some of it is professional opinion, but I don't like when we get about 24 in our elementary classes. There's some behavioral issues that happen. I don't think kids get the one-on-one attention they deserve. There's sometimes behavioral issues, just in terms of even arranging the classroom when you want to do some group work or small group work, it just becomes a problem because the classroom is so congested. And so, but that would at least be an option. Again, I'm not saying that's the one I would promote, especially for 27-28, because I think that's too many in a class. But in the end, you'll hear me say this more than once, I don't have a vote. The 6 board members you see at the table are the ones that in the end make the final decision. But that is option one, and again, you can read there both the pros and the cons. Scrolling on up to option 2. Option 2 would be to go back the way things were a couple years ago and simply hire a 6th grade teacher back here for Bellwood. We'll have 14 kids in next year's 6th grade class, and we, at least as of today, 14 the following year. So an easy solution, not necessarily the best solution, would be to simply add a 6th grade teacher here. I will tell you it's maybe not quite that simple, in that we've done some things in this building now that we don't have 6th grade here. So for example, we moved our sped teacher into a full-size classroom so that she had more room to work or work with small groups if she has parents in there with her. And what that did is it actually freed up her small classroom. I almost call it an oversized office space more than a classroom. And that is where occupational therapy, physical therapy, school sites, and speech paths occupy. And we've also been able to create a sensory room over here for some of our high-needs special ed kids. And so, while we could steal that classroom back, some of the drawbacks are we lose some of the space for our special ed contracted services to work in that sensory room. Again, I'm not saying it's not the right answer, but it's not just as simple as we'll just hire one back and everything is back to normal. The other thing that happened when we moved 6th grade over to David City Elementary is it actually freed up Travis Worm, who's the PE teacher here. He's also half-time at the high school, and it allowed us to teach another section of strength training at the high school because he didn't have to teach 6th grade here. So we were able to bring him back to David City sooner in the day and provide another class there at the high school. And so by bringing 6th grade back here, that means keep bringing him back here for another section of PE, and we do lose that at the high school. I'm not saying that's the end all be all, but that is one of the ramifications of that option, but that is a viable option. Option 3. We do have a full-time intervention teacher at David City Elementary who works with children in small groups. One of the options would be to eliminate that intervention teacher and make her or another staff member a 6th grade teacher and have a 3rd 6th grade teacher at David City Elementary. The biggest con here that you can probably see is that we lose all the intervention times. And she is busy all day long working with small groups of kids. Is it a cost savings measure to the district? Sure, because you're not adding additional staff. But again, that doesn't mean it's the right thing for kids or for academic reasons, but it is an option to look at. Option 4 would be, is there a way to get creative with the intervention teacher schedules in which she maybe help teach language arts and math at 6th grade, so that at least those 2 main subject areas have smaller groups to work with in those 2 core areas, and then the other half of the day still provide intervention classes or time to the kids who need it. So it's kind of a happy medium somewhere in between, but again, half of your kids that may need intervention time are losing that opportunity. And you still have those larger class sizes for things like science and social studies. So again, it's a way to reallocate resources. It's no cost to the district, but again, it doesn't mean it's the best option. And then last but not least, option 5 would be to keep the intervention teacher, but add an additional full-time 6th grade teacher to David City Elementary. And so we would still be able to keep all of the interventions that we have in place, but it would allow us to split the 6th grade up 3 ways. So we would have to rethink some classroom assignments. On here, I think I mentioned maybe having our Title I teacher and intervention teacher share a space, but there may be some other options as well. We've got a teacher that spends part of her day over at St. Mary's, so she's not in the classroom all the time. Some of our intervention teachers spend time in the regular classroom and aren't in their classroom all day long. And so we might be able to combine other teachers and share a classroom. We could put up a temporary wall. We are also going to be reconfiguring our library this summer, and it was already, I'd already typed this up so I didn't add it. I'll just tell you tonight. Another option would be to reconfigure our library a little bit and create some space in the back of the library for an intervention teacher to work with maybe 2 or 3 tables of kids, small groups in the back of the library, so that no teacher would have to share a space. We just have to maybe get a little bit creative when kids are checking out library books and stuff. But that's getting a little bit too far into the weeds until we really know the direction that the board and the community wants to go. But with that, I wanted to give you just a real quick overview of the 5 options. We'd be more than glad here in a few minutes to answer questions you may have, but I think before we get to that, we truly would like you to have the opportunity, and I think that's a hot mic, isn't it? This is all set? It will be. We would ask you to come up to the mic and present or share your thoughts with the board, but we do ask you to use the mic because if you're like me, you're old and you can't hear, or at least that's the excuse I give my wife. And so, with that being said, we'll just let you guys take turns at the mic for a few minutes, and then we'll, as an admin team, try to answer the questions you might have after that. So go ahead.
Is there anybody? Great.
Hi, my name is Selena Nicholas. I am in 4th grade here in Bellwood. I went to that 6th grade back to Bellwood so I can be with my friends another year until we're not there in 6th grade in David City. I also know everyone who works at Bellwood. If the 5th graders have to go to 6th grade in David City, we would have to get to know everyone there for 1 year and then get to know everyone the next year when we switch to the middle school. It's nice for the adult kids and the parents to be closer to where we live. Please bring back 6th grade to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else? Great.
Hello, my name is Jackson Tucker. I'm currently in the 5th grade at Bell Elementary. I started here in preschool. I've been on the student leadership team the past 2 years. I was hoping to stay in Bell for 1 more year. The reason is I have tons of friends and a great belonging, and I know they want me to stay too. I am also not ready to be away from my fellow classmates since they will be 2 6th grade classrooms. I have a younger brother that I take to and from school most times, and I know he would be upset if I couldn't anymore. I also don't want to have to ride the bus yet. Bell Elementary is just a school with my own. I hope you take what I say seriously and make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to use this time to speak?
My name is Jeremy McDonald. I was part of Bellwood Elementary School through the 8th grade. We were the last 8th grade class from Bellwood in 2000. Went on to David City and graduated in 4. Been part of this community my whole life. I've seen a lot of changes in the area. Mostly subtle and aren't noticeable. But I believe to help and promote our community, we should have a 6th grade back in Bellwood. If we will have to have the 3rd class of 6th graders, might as well have it here. I hear kids are making a good transition at David City from moving 6th grade there, so it makes it a little more tougher decision for me. But I believe in the long run, it would help have parents make a better decision with their kids possibly staying at Bellwood than moving them to different schools sooner. Example, Shelby, Columbus, or Aquinas. We have the room. We have an excellent building here and an excellent staff. All we are missing is a teacher and possibility more students coming to Bellwood. Might not be much of an economic impact for the community, but anything helps promote people moving to and growing this small community.
Thank you very much.
I think most of you know me. My name is Lori Mush. I teach elementary art here in Bellwood and in David City. I too like June and I'm Bellwood Bronco. My perspective is that of a specialist teacher. We have only 30-minute sessions in David City, 2 times a week with each classroom. In a full day, that allows for 14 different classes coming into our room every 30 minutes, no passing time, and we're planning. Or, for me, most importantly, is prep time in between those classes. I'm not sure how adding a 3rd class, or even splitting up a class of 46 next year or 55 the following year would benefit our students. Guidance in music and art get cramped in our spaces as it is, and I don't see how adding more students in that space is going to be conducive to a good learning environment for those students. Not all students in that classroom can get along. We are constantly moving students around to try to find a better combination, and sometimes it just doesn't work, and we do not have great space to spread those kiddos apart. And so having large classrooms is really not going to benefit them. I am one of those kids that came from Bellwood, obviously, as well as my 4 kids, and we transitioned just fine. We're thriving in David City. At the high school, I went in as a high school student, and my own kids as middle school students, and we did just fine, transitioning at that later date. I understand the importance of those transitions, but we all seem to get along just fine, moving at the grade level that we moved at. In my opinion, as a teacher here in Bellwood and in David City, I would love to see our sixth graders stay here.
Thank you very much. Anybody else would want to use this time to speak to the board? Okay. If there aren't, if there are any questions, specific questions that anybody has for the administrators, that they will be able to answer those questions during this time, so it'll be more of a back and forth conversation.
What are we doing with the old computer room right now?
Guidance.
It's right back here.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
Guidance. It's currently the guidance room.
Guidance room, okay.
We use it for guidance 2 days a week. We also utilize it throughout the week for different reasons as well.
We have, does she use it as well one day a week now?
Yeah, I do. I do. I use it, and the school psychologist comes up here and utilizes it as well.
Miss Daniels, just so you know, to be fair, Miss Daniels is our SPED director for the district, and so one of the things we've done this year is asked her to come and provide more support to the teachers and more importantly the SPED kids in this building, but again, there wasn't a classroom for her, so she comes on the days when Mrs. Godowski is not here. And so then she uses that classroom. So, yep.
How much is a teacher? 150,000, 200 a year?
No, I would.
That's with, well, with
With
benefits and everything,
No, not that much. It depends. If they're a first-year teacher and single, and so we're only paying a single insurance plan, you're maybe in that $70,000 range. If it's a veteran teacher that's married with kids, then you're talking maybe $110,000.
Okay.
And so, I would tell you, one of the things I've done budget-wise the last 2 or 3 years is I have kept because we are capped on our budget authority, I have kept an additional teacher in the budget every year, knowing that at some point we would either bring one back here or need something in David City. We just haven't taxed for it the last couple of years. And so the budget authority is there. We just haven't taxed for that 100,000 or whatever. And so that would be, and that would be good for the board to know too, that's what we would have to do from a financial standpoint. The budget authority is already there. We just haven't taxed for it the last couple of years. So we would have to tax for that position. So great question.
So I guess my question is a little bit twofold. You know, what were the deciding factors in initially doing away with the sixth grade here in Bellwood? And what changed to get you guys to reevaluate this specific year?
Okay, I can answer well that. When we initially did it a couple of years ago, there was 2 things. Most critically, we got 0 apps for the 6th grade job. We had a late resignation, got 0 apps, and so what are we going to do? And at that time, it was either 4 or 5 students, so we knew we could consume them at David City. At that time, that was the best solution. We did, however, promise the Bellwood community that in 2 years we would revisit the situation. And so that's, to be honest, the reason why we're having a meeting now is because that was a promise we made to the Bellwood community that we'd revisit. Now, I would tell you that as we had that conversation, there was what we felt as an admin team, some other benefits that we didn't necessarily think of right away. And most of it deals with transition. The kids now have to get used to larger class sizes. They also have to rotate to different teachers, because I think in 6th grade we have one that does science and one that does social studies. They do get used to riding a bus. They get used to a bigger cafeteria. The other thing we've seen is they do get to know their peers a little bit better, and we do feel like we've had better involvement from some Bellwood kids in 7th grade. So a lot of the transition things that are 7th grade, and we have a new high school principal, so she can't really speak to it, but those were some of the issues and concerns we were seeing at the 7th grade level with some of the transition pieces. And so we feel like the last couple of years, it has helped with that transition, because a lot of the concerns and the issues we were having were taken care of before we then jumped them into an all brand new building with 300 kids. And so, so that was part. Did I answer both parts of your
Yeah.
question? So.
I mean, I think as a community member, my concern is that I'm not seeing like data and facts to make these decisions. The things that you're talking about are more intrinsic values, right?
Yeah,
That you can't quantify.
You're exactly right. You can't. We couldn't give you the numbers. I'm not sure how you quantify the kids got used to riding the bus. I don't know what data I could show you to prove that, other than they're riding the bus, you know, or they're eating in a cafeteria with a lot more people than they are here and getting used to bigger class sizes. I will tell you that some of our biggest critics initially are now probably our strongest proponents of having sixth grade over there. We have had parents say it was difficult when there were 4 or 5 kids in a grade, in that what happens if you're the only girl who likes sports and the other kids in my class don't like sports and there's only 5 of us, it's hard to have a friendship group. If I come to David City, there are probably 3 or 4 other girls who also like sports. And so if I talk sports, I can probably find a peer group to fit in. I'm not saying that's the case with 14 over here, you know, but with 4 or 5, potentially. Special ed was also another concern. And I think, you know, the principals would verify that some of the parents who had sped kids coming over to a larger building actually got the services that they felt like they needed. Because over there we do have 4 sped teachers, we have 1 in this building. And so we do have a few more sped services available over there just because of the size.
I have one more question, sorry.
Yeah, no, don't be sorry. That's why
Were all
we're
of
here.
these options listed evaluated the first time the 6th grade was done away with in Bellwood?
No,
Okay.
no. It was a very quick decision that had to be made.
Right.
Because we were scrambling. It used to be you hired teachers in May and June. We now start advertising for teachers for next year in November and December. And that's what precipitated us having this meeting in October already, because I'm asking the board to make a decision in November, because by Christmas, we would be advertising. If they would decide, you know, to hire a 6th grade teacher, whether it's here in David City, we want to start advertising at Christmas time already. There's that, just to give you an idea, a couple years ago, there were 600 teaching positions in Nebraska that weren't filled. And so the sooner we can advertise, the sooner the opportunity we have to get somebody under contract for next year. So this is a decision that we can't make in April or May. And so that's why we've really ramped up the timeline.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well.
No other questions?
When will the board be voting on this then, or what's their?
November.
November?
Yep, and so.
They'll table this till November?
Yeah, so they will have a conversation here later tonight as a board amongst themselves, ask the admin questions, but it'll be limited to their conversation. And then in November, I will have on the board agenda as an actual action item. Today, it's just a discussion item. At the November board meeting, it would be an action item. That gives them 30 days to process what they hear from you guys tonight. They hear from the admin team, and then what they hear from community members both in David City and Bellwood between now and November. We did not want them to have to hurry up and make a decision tonight. So that way, if constituents have additional comments or you're not comfortable sharing it in front of a large group, you can get a hold of them and have a private conversation with them privately.
Is there a plan, other than, you know, the boys that shared their opinions tonight, is there a plan to get feedback from the students in Bellwood, like the 4th and 5th graders?
I can tell you what their answer would be, and I don't even need to meet with them.
To stay?
Add 6th grade here. It would probably be unanimous.
So the second part of my question is, or feedback from the 6th graders that moved, you know, last year, to see what their opinions are.
Yeah, we could do that, yes.
I don't know.
And a year ago, we did meet with some of them,
Okay.
yes.
I think after year one, we met with.
Yeah, after the first group, we did meet with those kids, and we did contact some of the parents.
Okay.
And so yes, that is something we can do.
I guess I have a question for Ms. Wamchuk, is, I'd like to get your opinion since you're a principal here, if you added the sixth grade back in, do you feel like it would be a disruption here? Or do you think it's a feasible, like it's, you can make it work or make it function?
You know, any of those options we can make function because we adapt all the time. And really, you know, when I look at all the options, I could live with any of them. I know if we do add sixth grade back, we'd have to shift some things, but we could easily make it work, you know, and all of our kids have a great special place in my heart, and I don't have them another year. But I've also seen how good it's been for those kids that have went to David City, and those kids, I had to tell that group of kids the first year, me and Mrs. Gladowski had to tell those kids the first year that they were going to David City, and it was very emotional, and that was a very tough year, but I will tell you, once those kids went, after about week 1 or 2, anytime that we would run into them, they would talk about how great it was, and how great the transition has been. And so, you know, just seeing how helpful that has been, and I know it's not measurable data, but hearing of how the Bellwood kids struggled to how well they've transitioned, it has been helpful, because then they can make those friend groups the year before they go to 7th grade. So, you know, I could look at any of the options, but I do see how good the transition has been for them. I don't think it would be hard to shift back in this building. However, it also, I can see the benefit in the other way as well.
Yeah, one of our biggest fears, if, let's say we do nothing next year and we wait to do something 27, 28, there's a couple concerns that happen. One is, are we going to grow between now and next fall? And so that class of 23 and 22 all of a sudden becomes 26 and 27, or 27 and 28. And also, just as importantly, one of my concerns also is, I don't know if I can get a teacher to sign a contract if they know it's just a 1-year deal. With the shortage we have in the state of Nebraska, if you are a kid coming out of college, out of Lincoln or Kearney or Wayne or Concordia or everybody's favorite Doane, you have so many options. If Dr. Denker offers you a job for 1 year and tell you, I can't guarantee you there's a job after 1 year, I'm not sure if you're lining up to take that job, unless if you're desperate. I also think on the other end, if you want a veteran, I don't know that you get somebody that's married with multiple years of experience and kids that's going to uproot their family and move here either for a 1-year assignment. And so I think that while there isn't maybe as much urgency as people might think, in some ways I think there is, because I just really think we'd struggle if it was a 1-year deal. If people knew they at least had a couple of years here, and then maybe that job could turn into something else, I think we'd maybe have a greater chance at finding somebody, but I do have a little bit of a fear of a 1-year position. And that was the other reason why we brought it now instead of delaying it another year. The easiest thing to do would have been to kick the can down the road another year. But we didn't want to do that because of that complexity, and also because we had promised Bellwood after 2 years we would be back for a conversation, and we wanted to make sure we held to that.
I also want to add that one of the things that we saw that first year when we transitioned 5th and 6th grade to David City, it was like, oh, all of a sudden our leaders were out of the building. But we've done a really good job the last couple of years really building that 5th grade class up. They're in charge of announcements, they're in charge of other things. Ms. Tahowski has done a great job of getting those kids ready to transition throughout the year. And, you know, we'll adjust in a way, but she's done a really good job preparing them for that transition. And so, it has gone really smoothly since the first year. The first year was very emotional, but Jake was hard.
So I got a question. So with the concern of our community being small and wanting people to come to our small community, with them seeing that a grade or a grade school is only through 5th grade, it's not the average like 6th grade where then you go to junior high. Do you think that affects people from coming to Bellwood School, or do they opt to David City instead?
I don't know, because if you look around in a 30-mile radius, you see all kinds of configurations. You don't have to look very far. You can look in our own hometown. Aquinas St. Mary's is K-5, and Aquinas High School is 612. So you don't have to go very far to find one that does something similar to what we do. If you go further south to Seward, they're K4, and then 5-8 and 912. Columbus has something even completely different than that, and now they're looking at adding, what, a 3-5 building or 3-4 building. So they're going to have even something different than what you typically see. And so I don't know that we can put a finger on it's because we have this configuration or we don't have in terms of whether. I will tell you that enrollment has grown here for a lot of reasons. I think Columbus is too big. I think people are looking at a Class A school, and I don't want my kid in that big of classes. I think we have full-time administrator here, which we didn't have 10, 12 years ago, and so people know we've made a commitment here. And to be honest, I think we have very high-quality teachers. And so people want to bring their kids to the school because we do have a great staff here. Even when we have turnover, we seem to replace them with some real high-quality people. And so I don't see any indication that the enrollment here is going to go down. And in fact, one of the things the board did a couple years ago is we've actually moved the attendance center line 2 miles further south. It used to be, what was that road?
37.
Highway 64. Is east-west. We've moved it 2 miles further south. And so now if you live on that county road, along that county road or north, you come to Bellwood. And so we've kind of done some things to try to stay ahead of the potential growth in David City. You know, we don't know what the HEP plant's going to do. I've also now, when I talk to some community leaders, Dollar General's coming in, American Inn's coming in, Lincoln Poultry's coming in. I don't know what that's going to do. They have to live and go to school somewhere. And so we are very cognizant of that. One of the things a lot of patrons don't know is we ripped some half walls out at David City Elementary in the backs of classrooms to give us room for another row of kids there. So we did that renovation along with moving the attendance center line further north, trying to funnel more kids to Bellwood because we do have a high quality school here and we do want more kids to attend here.
To answer your question a little bit, each of the years that we have transitioned kids to David City, we have had a new family come in that then had a child here in this building and a 6th grader in David City. And so every year that has happened, and that hasn't deterred that, and that transition has been fine for those families coming in. And so, yeah.
You brought up an interesting point about the attendance line, which was one of the questions that I had earlier. Would you guys consider moving that attendance line again and then hiring in Bellwood to grow the class sizes in Bellwood and lessen the class sizes in David City?
For just 6th grade?
Just in general, the attendance line in general.
I think if we got to the point where our enrollment forced our hand to do that, we would. I will tell you that that's a hot topic. That's, as superintendent, that is probably the thing I get chewed out the most about, is where families have to send their kids, either David City Elementary or Bellwood Elementary. Other than snow days, where there are called snow days, that's probably the second biggest debate I get with families. Because we get a lot of families who, well, I already have a high school in David City, so I want my kid to attend in David City. And I end up turning down about 95% of those, so I make a lot of people angry every year, because not everybody can bring their kid to David City, even if they work there, because we don't have the space. You know, and I do try to protect this building and the numbers so that we don't get classes of 4 and 5. Because I can tell you that's where, you know, they get pressure and I get pressure. What are you doing with a $110,000 teacher teaching 4 kids?
But that's what you're saying,
You know,
to
and
grow
so,
class size here, bring more students.
yeah, I think if we got to the point where that's what we were getting for numbers, we would consider that. But, you know, like our 4th and 5th grade is 14. We've had to turn kids away in preschool. And so I think right now our numbers are okay. And we just got to see what happens with that AGP plant and or Lincoln Poultry. And yes, I think that's something the board will always look at, that attendance center line. But we may even have to get creative in that it's not just a straight line, but we kind of, you know, because there's some people who are closer to Bellwood, but they live south of that attendance center line, and so they come to David City, but it'd be closer to come to Bellwood. Because we just draw a straight line east and west on that county road, so we might even have to get creative at some point on how we draw that attendance center instead of just a straight shot east and west.
Dr. Danker, there's a question in the back, I think, Mrs. Knight.
Have we weighed the pros and cons of kids transitioning, like when they're transitioning to 6th grade versus 7th grade? Because when they transition to 6th grade, they're introduced to all new teachers for the most part, other than special teachers that are shared. And then again, they're having a second transition to all new teachers again. So really the only people they're acclimating themselves with that are going to be the same are their peers, which aren't always the same when they then move to high school.
I think it's more than just the people they're transitioning with, it's the processes. You know, it is a big deal, a kid riding a bus. That's a huge piece of transition, kids learning how to ride the bus. It is a huge transition having lunch in a huge cafeteria versus over here. It is a big transition having to move from science to social studies and classes. Which does prepare them then for 7th grade. Yes, it is some different teachers. Again, I don't know how you quantify that, but the transition is more than just people transitions. And I also think, and I haven't looked at it, but it seems when I look at our junior high participation with sports that we get more Bellwood kids coming out because they already have a relationship with the other kids in 7th grade. One of the biggest fears I heard when I got here was Bellwood 7th graders and transitioning to sports when they didn't know anybody. And if they were the only 7th grade boy that was going to play football, they just didn't do it. Because they didn't want to be isolated like that away from their friends. But if they've already been friends with those kids and they've already found 6 other 6th graders as friends that play football, they then have a better chance of going out in 7th grade. Like right now, our junior high participation numbers in football, for example, are the best they've ever been. And so we feel like there's some things there too that kids have that's helped with the transition as well. But I could be wrong. But great question.
Isn't that why we put our youth programs together in 3rd grade with David City, so they can start building those relationships for our athletics?
Yes, most definitely. But I will tell you, we still have a lot of families that don't do it. We have Bellwood families that won't bring their kids to David City Elementary for practices for youth sports.
Well, and I think a lot of that is because it's always traveling to David City.
Yes,
like,
agree
my
100%.
husband and Chris
Agree 100%.
Their practices here, and then we worked it out between, and that was nice for the Bellwood families, and the David City families understood, yeah, that's only fair. we should meet you halfway, you know, and
Yep,
have
I agree.
everyone here.
I agree.
And that was wonderful, like, that we were able to use this space.
Yep, and we've tried to promote those types of things. In fact, we've talked about redoing this floor next summer and stuff, trying to get like more third and fourth grade teams to use this facility for practice space. So, the biggest effort is twisting the arm of the David City people to actually realize that you can travel in both directions on that highway. It doesn't go just east and
Well,
south.
being aware of it, I think.
And I think that's our concern for, you know, athletics, for switching sixth grade, for all of the things, is that the Bellwood people feel the majority of that pressure to be the ones that always have to be the ones to give. So, you know,
I think
it's
that's a
our
fair-
kids who are going from the small class sizes that serve them very well to a larger class size, where there's more behaviors, where, like, Brittany has found some great friends in sixth grade this year, but she also comes home daily talking about all the time that they have to deal with behavior issues and walking every day at recess because people won't stop talking, and things that were never an issue here in Bellwood with the smaller class size. And that, as much as she has friends, that's a huge frustration. So, like, it's not all sunshine and roses. Like, there are issues.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I think those are all valid comments, and I would tell you, I don't think any of the options that we put up there are perfect, to be quite honest. I think there truly are pros and cons. Do I have one or two that I think make the most sense? If the board asks me for a recommendation later, yes. But even with the one or two I would recommend, I think there's even some hiccups with the ones I would recommend to the board. But very valid concerns of the parent.
Dr. Danger, I don't want to cut off
Yep, nope,
any
nope.
community members that want to speak, because I think that this is a really good conversation, and I enjoy hearing it, but it is 7:01. Our regular meeting is scheduled for 7 o'clock. So I don't want, if anybody has anything else, again, you're free to contact any of us board members at any time. We have, our emails are on the website. You know, there's a variety of different ways that you can contact all of us. You can also, again, speak during public comment during our regular meeting. Okay, so I think with that, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn our special board meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Marcus, seconded by Casey. Aaron? I vote yes. Marcus?
Yes.
Donnie?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
7:01.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go right into our regular meeting. Those of you, if you do not want to stay for the regular meeting, that's fine. We're not gonna break our hearts if you go ahead and head out whenever you're able to or whenever you need to. I will let you know, I don't know if anybody sees the agenda. You can see on that purpose sheet on the agenda for our regular meeting when the discussion for the Bellwood will come up. You'll be able to see on that, on our agenda. With that, I'll call the meeting to order at 7:02. And if everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The open meeting statement is still up here for anyone to inspect it. All board members are here in attendance. We are going to have a presentation from facility advocates off that so that they can be on their merry way if they need to. So please.
Nate and Greg, the floor is yours. Do you want that Excel spreadsheet up there? First page? I do. Okay. The board members all have a copy of it as well. It is proprietary information, and that's why I didn't make copies for everybody in the public.
Do you want us at the podium, Dr. Baker, or?
What's that?
Do you want us at the podium, or can we stand over
You
here?
can stand here, that's good. All right.
Who wants Mike?
I don't need the mic, but if you ask any questions, I did forget my hearing aids at home, so please speak up. My name's Greg Barnes. I was with you, I don't know how many board meetings ago, but So I got a chance to meet you, Paul, and appreciated the invitation back. Just as a reminder, I'm the retired superintendent. Started for work for Facility Advocates 3 years ago. As a superintendent, I did a number of projects, facilities projects with Dave Raymond, who's the owner of our company. And Larry Cheehall joined me last time. He's an energy engineer. And tonight we have, I'll let Nathan introduce himself. You want to say a little bit about what you do and how you...
Sure, okay. My name's Nathan Fritzler. I've been with Facility Advocates for 4 years now. Project developer, project manager for HVAC projects, windows, doors, anything that relates to energy systems in your buildings. We specialize in K-12 schools. That's our primary market that we deal in, and we especially like to go out to the rural school districts because we know that a lot of times it's hard to get, for you guys to get contractors out here, good ones that'll take care of you and take it all the way to the end. So that's where we excel at, and I was a mechanical contractor in Denver for 25 years, so HVAC is my business, is what I've known, it's all I know, and so we're here to kind of talk about what some of the current needs that you all have. I've been through the David City Elementary and high school buildings both, and through Bellwood, and we've come up with a report, giving you a couple of different reports, I think, one that covers all 3 buildings, and then a proposal for work to do right here in Bellwood to get things started. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay. So Nathan, as you mentioned, has been in the business a long time. As he said, he's the one that put all this information together for you. He's been out here numerous times to look at your facilities. If all goes as planned, if we move forward with projects, and if he can fit it all into his schedule, he's not just a developer, but he would work with engineers to engineer the project, and then he would be the kind of the overseer, the project manager, so that as we hire contractors to come in and do these projects, he would be overseeing them and making sure that things are done correctly. If there's any warranty issues, anything that happens afterwards, that's the phone number you call, and he will take care of you. So other than that, I know, like he said, you have 3 documents. We started looking at the facilities, and our plan was just to put together an executive summary that talked about the Bellwood Elementary, the David City Elementary, and the junior senior high school building. And on the spreadsheet, we've identified HVAC equipment that's beyond or nearing or at the end of its useful life, and put some budget numbers together for you so you can kind of get an idea what's ahead of you as a school district in terms of expenses to keep your equipment updated. In the executive summary, we put together some other information, whether it might be doors, windows, lighting, or whatever else we saw as needs, with some thoughts there. And then as we looked at your information, the glaring, the thing that just kind of stood out was Bellwood Elementary. So we kind of put together a separate proposal for this facility. The equipment in this facility is well beyond its useful life. You guys have done a great job of maintaining and keeping it running for all these years. And so pat on the back to your maintenance people for that. But also I would note in our last report, when we did a Star Energy report for this facility, I think it was a 25 for a score. You think of 50 being average. There's opportunities here where you can save some energy, incorporate some more fresh air, just improve the use of your facility, and hopefully save you some money in the long run. So with that, I don't think we're gonna read everything that you've got that before you can read it, but Nathan maybe just give you the highlights of what he found and then we can talk about what the next steps would be if you're interested in moving forward with, phase 1 projects.
So this building is all electric heat, electric air conditioning, so there's not a lot of opportunity to give you a big boost, a big energy boost, because you don't have gas, and I don't know how far natural gas is away, but the systems were installed in the 94 edition. All the equipment was updated back then, and that's the last time it's been updated in 1994. So 10 of the units are still the original 1994 units, and so you got your money's worth, all right? But there are 6 that have been replaced more recently in the last 7-8 years. So those are still pretty good at the moment. So the estimate that we gave you includes 10 classroom units. Also includes updating LED to LED lighting. You can see what kind of a difference LED has made in this room. That estimate also includes LED lighting for all your classrooms, and mostly because of the energy savings. LED lights are very inexpensive now compared to what they used to be, and the payback is very quick. So they'll save anywhere from 50 to 60% of the energy that you're already spending on your lighting. You can recover 50 to 60% of that. So it's a very significant energy savings, and so it's very attractive for financial. So also there's a couple of odds and ends, loose end items. There's a couple of doors that are a little leaky. We'll get those taken care of for you, and a handful of other miscellaneous items to make some improvements all around. So, does anybody have any questions about what we're up to or what we're thinking about?
Just to kind of help wrap your head around this a little bit as a board, think of facility advocates like the Garland Company with our roofs. And so when we decide to do an HVAC project, we would use facility advocates, and they would go out and get the bids, make sure the contractors met the specifications, make sure the equipment they wanted to use met all of that, oversee the install, and then warranty it, just like the Garland Company does on our roofs. So at this point, they haven't gotten a dime from us. And so they did a really good study here. I sent you a PDF that had everything, that had the proposal for the entire district, just Bellwood. Tonight, what's up on the screen is just the HVAC piece of that. And so just to, kind of give you a quick rundown, like at David City High School, we have over $2.2 million worth of HVAC equipment that's met its life expectancy and then some. At David City Elementary, it's about 1.5 million. Okay, in fact, just to give you an example, we have, 43 units. The life expectancy is 19 years, and they've all met it. And then at Bellwood Elementary, it's about $600,000, but then there's also maybe, I'm just using rough estimates, about $100,000 in LED lighting. So it's about $700. And when I look through it, and I don't have this on the board agenda for approval tonight, just discussion, but we could look at it as a facility committee, bring it back to the whole board. But I can tell you initially my thought was we take care of the lighting and the HVAC in Bellwood first. And then the next year we would do David City Elementary, and then take 2 years to do David City High School, just given the large numbers. And so it'd be kind of a 4, or if we had to, a 5-year process to get us up to date. I mean, obviously some of the things over here that make me nervous, those 10 classroom units, okay, they were put in 94, the life expectancy is 19 years, they've been in 31 years. So they are 12 years past their expected, life expectancy. So we're on borrowed time with a lot of equipment. And so, I wanted to make sure you guys had an opportunity to you know, review this. I know just enough about HVAC to be dangerous, okay? These guys are more the guys that you want, if you have specific questions about it, they're really who you need to talk to. You know, at the high school, just to give you an example, you know, we had gotten an estimate, I think, from Ruts a year or two ago to replace the 2 chillers on the west side of the high school on the asphalt. And I think their estimate was either 460 or 480,000 just for those 2 units. And these guys came in at $500,000. And so, you know, Ruts, you know, I think gave us a pretty legitimate estimate on what it was going to cost, because that was just an estimate, you know, a year or 2 ago. And so I think these numbers, while they're make your jaw drop, I think they're pretty, they've done their homework in terms of giving you a pretty good idea of what the rough numbers are going to be, so that there's no surprises to the board if we decide to delve into one of these projects. But I would tell you, at some point, you don't have a choice. If you can't heat the building, it's hard to have school. Now, the one upgrade that we talked about, or that I talked about these guys, is that in this building, that unit back there would actually get replaced, so we would actually have air conditioning in this gym. Right now, there is no air conditioning in this gym, and it gets pretty hot in the spring and fall during PE and lunch. And so having the opportunity to cool this entire building, you know, would be nice. So
Would the funds come out of depreciation, QC cups, building fund?
yes, 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 and yes. In terms of, you know, if we decide, let's say we decide to move forward with the Bellwood project, we don't have enough money in QC Puff or building fund, it would come out of the depreciation fund. But the next year, my recommendation would be is you would probably continue levying the 1.4 million or 1.5 million into the building fund, and you use that to take care of David City Elementary, because you wouldn't have enough in the depreciation fund. But the issue is, if you use up all that money in the building fund for HVAC projects, then that kicks the can down the road for things like a practice gym, a competition gym, a family consumer science room. So then the board has to have a much larger conversation of, you know, do you want to do a lease purchase? Do you want to do a tax anticipation note? You know, there's some other ways to potentially finance it, but it's how big of a bite do you want to chew at one time, you know? Because you know, if it involves increasing taxes, you're going to hear about it, you know? But, you know, some of this I don't think you can wait on. And so it's going to take the facilities committee and then eventually the entire board to prioritize what makes the most sense when. But
we couldn't do this anyway until we get a new budget request, could we?
Yeah.
We have 1.6 million in the depreciation fund. And because this is replacement, this summer we can take care of Bellwood this summer. And we don't have to amend our budget, we don't have to ask for any more taxes. That's exactly what some of that money that we put into depreciation is used for. You know, last summer we used it to replace part of the roof at the high school, and then we were able to replenish those funds in August before we started the new fiscal year. And so in my mind, we do something similar. We spend the $600,000 or $700,000 out of the depreciation fund, and then hope we have a good fiscal year again and transfer a similar amount back into the depreciation fund and replenish that back to the 1.6 million. And then, you know, I think for a year you could take what you're levying in the building fund and take care of David City Elementary. But again, that moves that family consumer science room and practice space down the road a year or two. And so really I think that's, you know, and whether we have a special board meeting or we just have it as an agenda item for a long conversation one night, I think there's a lot of options to explore and look at, and it's going to be a heavy decision for the board to make. I don't think it's an easy one, but what I would say on the HVAC is that I don't think we can afford to wait. Because you know, if there's no heat in an elementary building, we're trying to have classes, you can't answer the phone fast enough. And people are going to say, you had a report, you knew you had stuff that was 12 or 15 or 18 years past its life expectancy and you still chose to do nothing, and I'm not sure how you respond to that. So that's why I thought it was critical to bring these guys tonight and have this report done so that you guys can make an informed decision at some point, probably sooner rather than later.
Two quick questions. So the 50 to 60% savings with the LED lights, is that in a 1 year time period that you're looking to save?
That's over the life.
Over the life of what the LEDs will cost?
So, well, and that does show up on your energy bill too, right? So I'm not saying we're gonna chop your power bills by half, but the energy that you were using for lights will be cut in half immediately as soon as you put, so that's an immediate savings.
Okay. Yeah. And then the question would be more for you then is this, for Bellwood, for example, that would be all taking place in the summer. So we would, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 board meetings, we would be voting on things to do that work if possible.
Probably couldn't wait 5 board meetings because they would have to have time to line up contractors in order for us to get it done in June or July. So probably.
Maybe I can explain the next steps if you decide to move forward. So, I don't think there's any equipment here that's going to take a huge lead time to get in, but we can almost guarantee you there's going to be a significant markup on equipment January 1st. And so our price can hopefully be a little lower if you commit this fall to the project, because we can get equipment ordered before the end of the year and save some dollars. I can just tell you, Dr. Dinker and I were working at Seward Public Schools when we built our new middle school in 2010. $150 a square foot. And I'm working with Axtell Public Schools now, help them do some budget things. And they're doing an addition now, and it's $462 a square foot. And so when I pencil that out, it's about a 15% increase in cost per year for construction of buildings. And as an old superintendent that's done a lot of projects like this, I still cringe being on the other side of the desk when they give me the numbers, give the schools. It just doesn't seem like it should be that high, but it is. I mean, that's what we got to pay for the equipment. That's what we got to pay for the help and the installers. It's just, it's crazy, but it is what it is. And so, 2 things. We always try and get schools to commit in the fall or before the end of the year, so we can get the best opportunity to get good installers, and it gives us an opportunity to order equipment at a better rate than what it's going to be in 2026. And so we feel like we can improve the quality of the job and do it for less than if we wait until after the first of the year. Plus, if we get the installers booked and everything, the equipment, and we tell you we're going to get it done in the summer, then we're pretty good about getting it done in the summer. If we wait too long, it just becomes more of a challenge to get it done before school starts. And again, having sat on that side of the desk, nothing made me more mad as a superintendent than contractors still in the building when school started. It's just another thing to work around, so get that as well. So, the next steps, basically, you guys have your discussion, you decide what your decision is, whether you want to move forward with the project. We could make it happen in November or the December board meeting where we present you a guaranteed maximum price for a project in Bellwood Elementary as an example. If the board approves that, then basically we go to work. It's hard for us to get contractors to come out and really look at facilities until they know you're going to do a project. And so that gives us an opportunity. He's already talked to some contractors to get an idea on pricing, but to get them out here and actually get them to look and give us the good hard price on what they would install everything for. And so we can get you a good hard number guaranteed at or below the number we gave you on the guaranteed maximum price. That's just So there's a lot of work that has to take place after you decide you want to move forward with the project and sign that guaranteed maximum price contract. I know, you know, this is just different than design bid build where you hire an architect and you bid a project. The things I liked about it, I sat in a lot of meetings where if something wasn't working, the architect said it was designed right, the general contractor said, well, I was overseeing it, everything was done the way it was supposed to be, and the sub said, we didn't do anything wrong, so who's responsible? Everybody in this process works for us, and we work for you. So we're not going to argue over who's responsible. If there's a problem, it's up to us to deal with it. And I always tell people, the nice thing about opening bids at a public board meeting after the architects designed it is you know what every company bid. What we're seeing a lot today is you're only going to get one bidder. And you're lucky, some schools are lucky if they get that. And I've done projects where they've decided, I want to do the other way, I want to do design bid build, and they've actually ended up paying more that way than what we proposed to do it for them in the first place. I've had other projects come in lower. So unless you do the same project both ways at the same time, you're not going to know. But I feel like we're pretty competitive, and I do feel like our process is better, and I know we stand behind our product and support our projects. So the school's got to be happy. The other nice thing, you know, we're talking about potentially other projects down the road. We know if we don't keep you happy on Bellwood Elementary project, you're not going to want us to come back and do the elementary in David City or the junior senior high school. And so I just feel like that's our strength and what I liked about the process. Seward Public Schools started it when I was there. We're still every summer doing a project for Seward Public Schools now. They've done one, I think, about every summer since I left. So, and that's been 8 years ago already. So it's you know, their board likes it, their superintendent likes it, and so we have a number of schools that are in that same boat. So.
What kind of warranty is it, or how long? Is it piece by piece, or is it a blanket warranty?
It's going to be 1 year on everything, and then
standard warranty.
It's going to be the same as if you did hired an architect and bid it out.
Yeah.
So the warranty's going to be similar.
The equipment's going to have their own, equipment manufacturers are going to carry their own warranties, and usually, you know, 5-7 years or whatever, compressors and certain parts or whatever, but pretty much across the board it'll be a one year deal.
The other thing, you can talk a little bit about, they don't have any controls in this building now, right?
Yeah, so there's no controls, and there's no central automation system here, so all the thermostats are all standalone. Teachers can set it to whatever they want, which I'm sure they love, but if they forget that they set it at 85 before they left, and it's going to heat to 85 all weekend long till they get back here on Monday, and then they turn it back down to 62, you know, and so it's just going to be, that's the kind of things that, you know, an automation system will help correct, is because it resets all of that, limits the amount of control that they have, and then also the existing ventilation systems here have all been disabled. Who knows how long it's been that way, but you have zero outside air coming into any of your classrooms in this building. So you're going to have, we can do some sensors, set some sensors up, data logger sensors, and just to kind of see where you're at on not just temperature, but also humidity, CO2, and you can see just how much of a difference we can make by just getting your ventilation systems back in order, because high CO2 means sick building. It means lots of, you know, kids going home sick all the time, teachers going home sick, and spend a lot of money on substitute teachers and whatnot. So those are the hidden costs that that you don't really think about until you go from the situation that you're in right now to the upgraded, better, more improved type situation. So
I go through a lot of schools now too, and just in the summertime, you know, it amazes me how I walk around the whole building, and every room I walk in, 70 degrees, and there's nobody in it, you know, 80% of them. But, you know, if you're using your controls, you can save a lot of energy to just cool the areas that are being used in times when you're not having school and that kind of thing. And so there, you know, I think you're gonna get the money back on that investment too. And contrary to, I think, some of the issues you're having now, we'll do all we can to support any controls that we do in your facilities and make sure we support the district.
Questions?
Maybe just check, Dr. Baker, like, as far as priority on this list, I mean, is that kind of like in agreement with it as far as that goes, like, makes sense?
Yes, yeah, Travis and I looked at this.
The only reason I say that is because, like, I guess I was kind of unaware of the deteriorating condition of this building versus like the other ones. You know, I know you talked about the chillers at the high school and those things being potentially big ticket items going out. I guess I just wanted to make sure that from a priority standpoint, we feel like that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like the exhaust, if you look, the exhaust fans, you know, for example, they're the originals from 1960, so there's 65-year-old exhaust fans in the restrooms. You know, they're not working the way they're supposed to. So.
We look at everything, so, yeah.
We're doing another school now that's never had hot water in the restroom, so you guys are way ahead of that.
Any other questions for Nate or Greg?
Yeah, thanks for the report.
You bet.
Very, 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 very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And just my apologies that you have to listen to all the Doan stuff from Dr. Dinker. I had to put up with that for 6 years, and so I know what you're going through.
Yes, I appreciate that. Missouri loves company. All right, thank you again. We'll go ahead and move on to student and staff involvement. Our 2 student board members have submitted their board reports. Addie, Harrison, do you guys have anything to add? We do have a presentation from Ellie Bales. So, Ms. Bales, if you want to come up and.
No, I'm good. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ellie Bales. I'm currently a junior in high school. Also, for those of you who don't know me or may not know, I serve as a state officer right now for Nebraska FCCLA. I am just here on behalf of Nebraska FCCLA to say thank you for your guys' support, both to Nebraska FCCLA and to our local chapter. I also serve as our chapter's president right now. On the front of that flyer, you will find our 2025 to 2026 chapter officer team. And yeah, all I wanted to say is thank you so much for your continued support. And thank you for being so open to providing this extracurricular to us. It helps us grow our leadership and also give service to our community. At the bottom of the David City FCCLA side, you can see that we made tie blankets for our community recently. Not recently, like last Christmas. At one of our chapter meetings. So I just wanted to say thank you for that too, just for giving us an organization that allows us to contribute to our community. So
Thank you.
thank you.
I was going to say, we really appreciate you not only representing yourself, but also our school and our community, and we think you do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Are you, where did you guys go to nationals last year?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando.
Coming up this year, it'll be in Washington, D.C.
Oh.
So
And that's usually when, in the school year?
July.
Oh, it's in the summertime. It'll be nice and hot.
Yes.
In July in DC. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go forward to consent agenda, approving the minutes of the previous meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or questions about the minutes from September's meeting? All right, then we'll move on to claims against the district. Dr. Daker.
Pretty standard month, except for the one that you see for $64,947 for Spire training. That's part of that grant that we were, statewide grant, we received that $130,000 grant. And so dollar for dollar will be reimbursed. And so we had to spend the first $65,000 by September. And so we've done that. Now we'll submit it for reimbursement, and then we get another $65,000 for this school year dealing with early childhood and literacy. I don't know if Peggy or Lindsay, anything you want to add to
that? This year's, the grant funds for year 2, we're going to buy some more Spire materials and some other interventions for multisyllabic words, and then the rest of the funds will go to the UNL Words project. And they'll come in and they'll start working with us in January of this year. They'll do some presentations to the staff, but the training will actually start next August. So they'll come in and do training on literacy, and then they will also do some coaching to teachers as well. And there's other things written in because they have different components of their program, and we would have to implement those. Right now, their program is for K3, and they are adding components to make it K5. So,
I was just going to say, we're going to tweak our year 2 budget or our quote that we got from the companies just after we got the materials, and then we found out we needed to order some more things, and so we're just working with the company to get a new quote written up. It's fun shopping with that money.
The only other claim I guess I would bring up is the metal doors and hardware company. It was over $3,000, and what that is the locks at the high school. One of the recommendations when we had a safety audit is we have 3 different master keys at the high school. And so if you're a teacher in that building, and depending upon what part of the building you wanted to get into, you'd have to fumble around from one of 3 different keys. And so we kind of prioritized which locks, and so we're slowly going through over the next couple of years and get them all to the same locks as the new edition. And so we kind of took care of about a third of them this fall, and we'll do some more this summer. As you can see, it's pricey. But just felt like from a safety security standpoint, it'd be nice if you're a staff member in the high school, you have 1 key to worry about if there was some emergency type situation in the building. So we're working on getting it down to 1 key. We already took care of Bellwood a couple of years ago, and then the elementary, and so that's the last building we have left to do that for.
Any questions about the claims? Okay. All right, we'll move on to financial reports.
All right, general fund, sitting with $6 million in the general fund right now. Our tax draw was higher than we thought. I was anticipating because of the early school tax credits, we might get about $800,000. We got $1.5 million. And so then I was like, well, what are we going to get then in October, November, and December? And so I'm still befuddled by that. And so we have more money in the bank than I was anticipating, which is a good thing. But then I'm trying to figure out how much that's going to draw down the next 3 months to our next big tax draw in January. And so hopefully we'll get a handle on this, but anytime the state changes the way they fund us and give us our tax receipts, it just makes it confusing and takes a little while.
What was the change?
The school tax credit.
Oh.
See, we were getting more of our taxes up front.
Yeah.
You know, we got more of them in January and May, assuming that our tax draw in September would be much lower, and then it wasn't as low as I thought it would be. You know, before the new way, we would get about 2.2 million, and but with all of the school tax credits we got this summer, I really thought it would be in that $800,000 range, and it was 1.5. I mean, it wasn't 2.2, and so now I'm trying to figure out, did some people pay their taxes sooner than they did a year ago? You know, are someone paying ahead? Is there some, you know, I just don't know. And so I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's like, well, what are the next 3 months gonna bring?
Cash flow is a little
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's a good thing, but we'll see. You know, you can see our general fund comparison, we're a lot higher than we were a year ago. In terms of the percent of our budget we've spent, 2 months in, we've spent, you know, just over 12% of our budget. You know, I always figure we're gonna have about 1.2 million a month in just general fund expenses, and we were just under that, and so I don't think people realize how much it takes to run a school, but you can see the comparison and also the monthly expenditure report. We're 2 months in and we've spent 12.7% of our budget for the year. Depreciation fund, we had an FFA wardrobe replacement that we purchased out of there this summer that we just finally got the bill for. Employee benefit fund, that's like I've told you every month, that is the teachers' money for the cafeteria plan. So they put money in there for daycare or medical expenses pre-tax. And then the TELUS Health LifeWorks, that is, we pay an annual fee for our teachers to have an employee assistance program. So for example, any employee for our district can go get 6 free counseling sessions for them or any family member. So we pay that as part of their benefits, and I always try to prepay the entire year, and then in September I have to pay the difference because the new premium doesn't come out until September, but I always like to prepay as much of it as I can. So that was how much the premium went up for a year was $297. That was just the difference for 25, 26. Activity fund, sitting with $400,000 in the activity fund, lots of in and out throughout the month, obviously, due to all of the activities that we have in session. Lunch claims, just under 49,000. Last year, we were averaging about 55,000 a month, so the claims for October were actually a little bit less than what they were last year on average, so we'll see if that trend continues. We can only hope so. Building fund, we did get a good tax draw, and so I did pay our December lease purchase payment early. We have 2 payments left of $650,000, one in December and one in June. Because we had a good enough tax draw, I went ahead and paid it early so that we also could save some interest on what we owe. So we have one $650,000 payment due in June. And then the new addition at the high school is completely paid off. We did leave $280,000 in there because we're still trying to negotiate with the owners of the 2 houses west of the elementary to see if we can't secure those at some point. So we do have money in there to at least get one of them, probably not both of them. And so we'll just see how those real estate transactions pan out the next few months. Bond payments, we haven't had a bond since I've been here. So we just get a little bit of interest each month, otherwise there's no activity there. Same way with QC Puff. We had a couple camera issues that we took care of with our communications, otherwise we just had our September tax draw, otherwise no other activity out of there. And we have not collected FFA and FCCLA dues to deposit in the student fee fund yet. So you saw no action there this month.
Are there any questions about any of the accounts?
Okay. Then I will entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 4.1, 4.3.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Donnie, seconded by Casey. Marcus?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
I vote yes. Casey?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Donnie? Board committee reports. We have a negotiations committee meeting coming up.
Yeah, DCEA, which Morgan Dredge is the president, Jared O'Kander is the lead negotiator, approached me and asked if the board negotiations committee can work on teacher negotiations for the 26-27 school year on Wednesday the 29th at 7. If so, we probably need to meet at 6 and get our ducks in a row before we meet with the negotiations team of the teachers. Does that night work?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. I will confirm that with them. Can't really do it any sooner than that because insurance rates for the 26-27 school year won't come out till that Monday or Tuesday. And so it really doesn't do us any good to negotiate with teachers until we have insurance. Jared is like me, we're nervous because we're hearing something like 14 to 16% insurance increases possibly on the premium.
What time do you want me?
6 o'clock, and then meet with teachers at 7. And if so, that would be a huge increase and take up a significant piece of the pie. And so we're hoping that doesn't happen, but we will know, like I said, in a few weeks. So if that works, like I said, I'll let those guys know.
Okay, perfect. Board workshop conference reports. State School Board Conference is next month, before Thanksgiving.
Yep, and
Everybody's got their,
yeah, those that are attending, you should have gotten your room confirmation and your conference registration emailed to you. I also have a copy of it if you need it, so.
okay. And then I guess, I don't know, there was Labor Relations Conference was in October 2nd and 3rd, I think it was. I went to one of the days. I didn't go to the Wednesday evening sessions. I went to Thursday all day. It's just a good conference to go to because I'm on the negotiations committee. So I always learn a lot. Lawyers always have a lot to say. It was a good conference, and there's always a lot going on in the negotiations world, I guess. Other than that, we'll move on to administrative reports. Dr. Baker, you.
I have nothing to add.
Okay.
I just have one thing to add. Today, I was honored by NHS, who had put together a little just welcome to the school thing. And I had a little bit of a tough month. So I just want to say that when you go to some schools, they like to say that we're a family. And I think they try to do that. But we are really blessed at this school to actually have staff and students that care enough to really treat you like family. So I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of them. Thank you to our staff, and thank you to all of you for reaching out. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. Mr. Lindsley.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Everybody's in a different spot. This is very. Ms. Greenfield.
I don't have anything to add either.
Okay. Ms. Wilczek. Anything to add? Ms. Good. Ms. Daniels. Anything to add? And Mr. Hurlbrook.
Nothing today.
Okay. All right. Now we'll enter into public forum. And I didn't receive any forms for public forum, so we're going to see there is none. So we'll move on to discussion and action items. Discuss, consider, take action on policy 5006, option enrollment capacity.
Yeah, just
for next school year.
Just so people kind of understand what option enrollment is and kind of how it's changed. You know, option enrollment provides families an opportunity to attend basically any school district they want. And so if I live in the David City School District and I'd rather attend Columbus, I can fill out option enrollment paperwork as long as I meet the deadlines and they have room for me to you know, send my kids there, then it's pretty much just a slam dunk. It used to be you got one during your educational career. So if you lived in David City and you wanted to transfer to Columbus, you could do that once from kindergarten through 12th grade. And if you didn't like it, you had 3 options: either go back to David City, homeschool, or go to a private school. But you couldn't shop around and go to Columbus for a year and then say, well, I don't like Columbus either, so now I'm going to go to Shelby Rising City. And then I don't like that school either, so then I'm going to go to North Bend. Well, it changed a few years ago, so then you got it an option enrollment, one in elementary and one in high school. Then they changed it to any time you finish a grade in a building, or excuse me, the last grade offered in a building. So, for example, if we use Bellwood Elementary and you optioned in here and you finished 5th grade, because it's the last grade in this building, you now could choose to option somewhere else because you completed the last grade being offered. And then you could maybe go to Seward and they have a middle school and it's a 5-8 building, so then after 8th grade you could option again because 8th grade is the last grade offered in that building. And so, but the caveat was, it was not just the building that you attended, you could also make a change if it was the last building offered at the school you wanted to go to. So, for example, you could option to Seward, and Seward's K4. So at the end of 4th grade, you could option somewhere else, let's say to David's or to Bellwood, and then because 5th grade's the last grade here, I could option again and go to Lakeview, and then because 6th grade's the last grade offered in that building, I could option again because that was the last grade offered there, so it ended up being multiple. Well, now they've expanded it even more, and you can also option back to any school you've ever attended throughout the time you've been in school in kindergarten, in addition to all of the other options you have. So it's not unlimited, but we're getting close, okay? And so with that being said, we have to put together every year what we think our program capacity is, what our projected enrollment is in each grade, and then just subtract the difference of how many students we would allow in each grade. And so by no means are we full. The other thing they changed a year ago is you used to be able to have a cap on your special ed programs, and now that decision has to be made on an individual basis, even if your program is full. It can't really be full anymore. You can't just say, sorry, we have as many sped kids as we can offer. So for example, if your student is special ed, but they're only receiving speech services once a month for 15 minutes, it would probably be pretty hard for me to deny that option enrollment in because we'd have 2 full-time speech paths, and it'd be hard to say that we couldn't handle 1 kid for 15 minutes a month. However, if that kid or family wanted to come here and their kid had 7 different disabilities and it would, maybe they're so severe, we couldn't educate them here. We would have to send them to a life skills program in Columbus like we do our behavioral program in Columbus, and it was going to cost our district $50,000 to do that, or in some cases it costs us $75,000. We could deny that because of a financial hardship. But just because they're sped and need some resource help or some speech time, no longer is a valid reason for me to deny it. Ms. Daniels and I actually have to review each one of those. We look at the IEP, figure out what type of accommodations they would need or services they need, and make that determination. And so they're making it much harder on schools to deny kids. The thought being that option enrollment should be for all kids, not just regular ed kids, and that some kids were being discriminated against, and so they've made it much harder. But it is a financial, can be a financial strain in some cases.
If we say that, you know, one of those one-by-one cases that, yeah, it's gonna cost us X dollars and it's gonna be a financial hardship, who says yes or no to that? NDE? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they challenge.
They can appeal it to NDE.
So if they appeal it to NDE, NDE is the one that says yes or no?
Correct.
That's what I was curious.
Yes, yep. And so Ms. Daniels and I make the determination, but in the end, they always have an appeal. And just missing the due date is no longer a valid reason to deny it. Because option enrollment paperwork for the next school year should always be submitted prior to March 15th. But now they've said if that's the only reason you're going to deny a family is because they were a week late in submitting their paperwork, you can't deny it. It has to be something greater than they missed the March 15th due date. The other thing is,
Might have a due date.
yeah, that's just kind of how they work. So anyway, so that's, preschool is not option enrollment. I mean, there is resident and non-resident, and typically we do turn away non-resident because we're full, but they don't apply for option enrollment. Option enrollment is a K-12 program. And the last thing I would say is, to be clear, is just because we accept them as an option enrollment student doesn't mean they're eligible to play sports. The NSAA has their own guidelines for sports. So for example, if today somebody came to us from Seward and wanted to come to David City and option in and play sports, they'd have to sit out 180 days. Or excuse me, 90 days. Basically a semester. You're not, the only way you're immediately eligible is if you actually physically moved into the district.
Unless they're homeschooled.
What's that?
Unless they're homeschooled.
Yeah, that's a whole nother, yeah.
With the IEPs, if you do have a student who is optioning in and they indicate on the paperwork that they do have an IEP, is there a time constraint on that? Are we under any time constraint on saying yes or no? Because I mean, I know that there can be some discrepancies in between their old school and trying to get paperwork.
Well, kind of the rule of thumb has always been a couple of weeks. However, if they're not producing you the paperwork, that's on them. And I can tell you, we have that situation right now. We've had a family want to option in. We requested the IEP, and it's been over a month. And I've left 3 messages, and I'm not going to make a decision until I have an opportunity to read that IEP, because I need to make an informed decision.
But there's nothing from the state saying.
It's all guidelines.
Yeah.
And again, just like anything else, if a family got mad, they could call NDE, and we get a call saying, what are you waiting for? But you know, I think as long as we document that we're waiting for the paperwork from the parent, we're fine. So with that being said, what's kind of crazy is the school board is required to pass a resolution, this option enrollment, in October for the next school year. So you're basing a decision that you truly don't know what your enrollment's going to do between now and next August, but that's the way the legislature has approved it, is that we have to approve it every October for the following school year. So you have to do it this month. You can't wait till November, so.
How do we determine our capacity numbers?
We've just looked at, like, for example, we think 20 in a classroom here and 24 at David City Elementary, given class size, that's capacity.
Based on our building size?
Yeah. Square footage and just what we think we can manage. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
So even though, like, the projected enrollment could completely change, we say there's 14 spaces available in 5th grade. Next year, the actual numbers say there's room for 1. We still would have to allow 14.
Correct, because you're passing this resolution tonight.
I just want to make sure.
Yes. You know, which makes it really hard, and you don't know.
If there aren't any other questions, then I'll entertain a motion to approve policy 5006, option enrollment capacity, and the resolution for the next school year.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Marcus, seconded by Justin. Casey?
Yes.
Donnie?
Yes.
Marcus? Yes. Justin?
Yes.
I vote yes, and?
Yes.
All right, discuss the 6th grade enrollment and education options. Just a reminder, no official action is going to be taken tonight. Does anybody have any board members have any questions or concerns, thoughts about any of the options, just opening it up for, I don't know, what are people? Any clarification needed from any administrators or anything like that?
I didn't give you a recommendation, but I would offer you, if you would like to hear a recommendation, I'm willing to on as a starting point to think about. But if you rather not, and you want to make the decision yourself, I'm okay professionally with that too. It's kind of what you prefer, because no decision's being made tonight.
Does the person have any questions?
Is this gonna be another 2-year type thing, or are we doing it year by year, or what are we doing?
That's for this group to decide.
So I guess that would be.
Question for the group?
For the group, then, yeah.
I mean, he explained it.
I would not, whatever decision we decide, I don't think that having it for a year is a viable option. I wouldn't even say after 2 years it's a viable
No,
option.
and there used to be
what it
several
is.
applicants. If we get enough, we used to get to pick. And then teachers are slim pickings.
I guess, yeah, the only reason I asked was because we did it before, so I was just making sure that we're on that same wavelength again. I guess I can start off, I guess, but I don't really necessarily have any questions. My vote last time was to not close 6th grade in Bellwood to begin with, and after hearing many people here in Bellwood say the same thing, as of this point, that would be where I'm sitting right now. I know we're not at that place right now, but that's how I would start the conversation from where I'm sitting. Would be to
You're
open.
preferring is just to hire the,
Yeah.
and basically go back.
Go back to what we had. Yeah. That's just to start it off.
Yeah,
sure.
I can agree. I mean, I like to hear from the public and I like to listen to what they have to say, and I feel like the numbers are there, and like you said, the classroom would be really large.
I think it'd be prudent to hire another teacher for many different reasons. Keep the class sizes low the way it is. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, so it could be so in a couple of years that we do need that other teacher still at that point, and it'd be easier to keep the ones we have versus trying to scramble at that time again and do it then, have someone established here. As far as here or there, there's pluses and minuses both sides. I know my kid would definitely say stay here. If we have the room to do it, I guess I think it makes sense to keep it here if it's feasible and stuff, but I could be convinced of either way, but if I had my choice, I suppose it would be obviously keep it here, but that's where I'm at the moment.
Sorry, I have a question. Who is, it says make our intervention teacher a 6th grade teacher.
Mr. Schlon.
Right. Have we talked to her? Like what?
We haven't asked her if she'd be willing to do it, but she knows that those
It's an
options
option.
were on the table.
Okay.
And it wouldn't even necessarily have to be her.
Okay, it was just an option.
Yeah, like for example, a 3rd grade teacher leaves and she would rather go to 3rd grade than
Right.
do that.
Okay.
But I did talk to her
At our PD day.
on our PD day, and so I did not want her blindsided knowing that rearranging her job or whatever was not on the table for conversation, because that wouldn't be fair.
Are there any other teachers that aren't here tonight that haven't spoken that this would affect as far as like special education or anything like that?
I mean,
I couldn't hear the whole question, I'm sorry.
I would say it has to, but, I mean, it's going to affect a lot of things, regardless of what you do, because like, for example, what Lori said, the specials, it's going to affect what people's days look like. You know, one schedule, either here or in David City, is going to have to change. And so if the schedule changes, it does have a ripple effect of affecting potentially multiple people, yes.
I've looked at the special education numbers in those classes, and I don't think it would necessarily have a significant impact whether they were showed here or there when you look at students moving on and students either graduating or moving in or out. I don't think that would be a significant impact one way or the other, but that is something that I've taken a look at.
Well, I'm in the unique situation where I'm living with a sixth grader that got to make the transition. And the argument's both ways. I mean, I could be persuaded either way. Going back to the vote 2 years ago, the numbers made sense with only 5 students. Michael was in a class he was the only boy with 4 girls. In hindsight, they probably should have moved him somewhere post 5th grade. You know, socially, that probably wasn't the best situation, but he liked this school, as we hear from the speakers. So, I asked him the night before I came here, and, you know, he kind of wishes he could have stayed in Bellwood. So, with the numbers coming up, I would say the building could handle it before. Nothing's really changed that much. I would say let's have 6th grade here in Bellwood.
I think the option that I dislike the most is the one that we get rid of interventions. I think that does a disservice to all kids. So I think that taking away our intervention teacher in any capacity would be a poor decision on our part. I think that obviously there are some pros to that option, but I think that the cons far outweigh the pros in that it's not good for kids when you're taking away those supports, or the higher ability kids also being able to go and have their intervention. So that's the one that I don't like the most right now. If we're going to hire another teacher, I think that it does make it difficult in David City to hire and to have them there, because then you're having those 3, and then you're sharing space, and we just got to the point where we've got teachers who have their own spaces, and that's kind of been something we've been working towards for several years, and now all of a sudden we're kind of calling that space back so that it's kind of just, I feel like it's out of convenience sake. So those were my first thoughts when I was looking at this in preparation for tonight, but I really came in here with a completely open mind, just wanting to hear from everybody and see where everybody stood. So, I have a 5th grader right now, so she's going to be in 6th grade regardless. I guess some of those options don't look very good to me, because I don't want there to be 27 kids in the classroom. I don't even want there to be 24 kids in the classroom. I'd rather have there be 15 or 16 kids in a classroom, and so the higher we go in class size, that's a concern.
I was kind of pro-transition for a while there, you know, because I do see the benefits of it. I do think, as somebody had mentioned, I think it was Megan, the sports teams that have started coming together, they are making relationships already. I think that helps a lot, or it would for at least the kids that have already participated, that they've made a lot of connections already, but I think that does help them at this point, but I don't know.
No, not at this point.
Okay, Lonnie, do you have anything else?
I don't really have a horse in the game, and so I come to this with a completely open mind. But I would say, to me, it's going to be common sense of what disrupts the least, but as far as cost of adding a teacher, not really a concern of mine, because that's what we're here to do, is educate kids. If we need another teacher, we need another teacher. I'm with you as far as like using interventions. I don't really like that idea. So I think for new teacher, we hire a teacher. And I guess the last thing I'd say is, as of right now, that's all I've heard this whole evening is basically they want it here. That's not saying that doesn't change, or I don't hear 30 things tomorrow, but I guess I just had a mind and time. If you had to ask me right now, it probably makes the most sense.
with Donnie. We don't have a dog in the fight, but I'm keeping an open mind. I hear we keep it 6th grade here. That's what I'm hearing from our public.
My biggest concern also though is what happens when, what I don't want to have happen is that we hire and it's here. I don't like playing the game of, we're gonna move this, we're gonna do this, and every year we have to juggle everything just to try to
And I don't
keep
think
the
that,
teacher, or you know, like, I don't
I
wanna
think we
play
were
a
in a
game with it.
situation where we didn't have a teacher. When Katie left.
Right, that wasn't
did not
really an
have
option, we didn't have an option.
We were like, well, there's not very many kids and it would work out this year and this year. So let's
Yeah.
take them to David City and.
And we don't really have a bunch of small groups coming up, other
Yeah.
than that class of 8, and I think that's probably gonna be more like a class of 10 by the time it comes around. I mean, if we had some small class sizes coming up, I'd say, yeah, that'd be a concern that we'd have to move it around, but I don't. We've had 6th grade here for how many years, you know? It doesn't have to be something that changes.
And I guess, obviously we can't see the future, so we don't know. We have somebody come in, you know, hopefully we get some applications, and somebody comes in, we can't, we don't know, do they stay, do they go? I mean, that's turnover, that's just retention issues that every school has, but, Dr. Dinkel, what do you think?
As an admin team, we kind of like 2 of the options, and there's 3 we don't like. We like either adding a 6th grade teacher here or adding a 6th grade teacher at David City Elementary. We don't like doing nothing. We don't like losing an intervention teacher, and we don't like doing half and half. And so I think there's pros and cons of either one of those. And I would tell you that I have 2 professional elementary principals that whichever one you choose, we will make it work to the best of our ability, just like we always do. And so I think the good thing for the board is I don't think you have a bad choice. I think if you pick one of those 2, I don't think you can go wrong. I can get behind and support either one of those. The others, I would still do it because I work for the board and we would do what you say, but I think adding a 6th grade teacher is by far makes the most sense. It's just a matter whether it's here or there, and I think it gives you 30 days to talk to more people, talk to more constituents, and I mean, you heard from some tonight who had some very valid points, and I think if you give it 30 days, you'll either hear more that just confirms what you maybe already think, or give you some things to think about that you didn't hear tonight. My guess is that it would be very apparent by the November meeting which way you should go.
And I think one of the things that I think about the most with either one of those options is it's not just about class size, but it's something, it's what Mrs. Mush said. Yes, I know specials, obviously that plays into it, but for me, it's just more about the behaviors and our special education students and serving them in the best way that we can. But there's been such an increase in behaviors, you know, I just think that should be a huge piece of a deciding factor in how, and so for me, obviously I want to hear from parents and I love hearing from the students, but I really want to hear from the teachers that are going to be in buildings, or the special education teachers, or I'd really like to hear some kind of professional thoughts in that area as we move forward into next meeting as well. So I don't know, and however that happens, whether that's, you know, an email that you can provide to us from the board, or however that needs to be facilitated. But I would really like to hear from the teachers. Anybody have anything else to add about it? Okay, well, stay tuned, and for the public that's here, I encourage you to reach out again to us, but also encourage others to do the same. Like I said, our emails are available on the website, so you go to the website, go to the board, and you can email any or all of us your thoughts, and if you email one of us, then we'll be sure to make sure that we share it with everybody so that all of the board members have the same information before we go into next meeting. Okay? All right.
I just want to say thank you to the young men who had spoke.
Very nice.
That was very brave and hard to do, so good job.
Did a good job.
Very good job, yep. From here, we're actually going to be moving into executive session to prevent needless harm of an individual's reputation. And so I need to, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved by Gunson, seconded by Marcus. Go into executive session to prevent the needless harm of an individual's reputation. Yeah, I will. Yep.
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Marcus?
Yes.
I vote yes. Aaron?
Yes.
And because it's executive session, you're free to go. We are actually going to go into the library, so we're going to leave. If you don't want to leave, you can stay. But if nobody's here when we get back, that'll be fine too. So this is still going to record, so just be aware. Yes, yes. Can we have one administrator stay to watch our stuff? Is that?
Hi, my.
Yes.
I get nervous looking at them. I'm proud of you. And I was fantastic. Yes. Well, good thing you had that little practice. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it's emotional.
Yeah. Very voice and process. Okay, so Friday.
Yeah. There was tears in my eyes, so.
So whatever.
Oh my gosh, I think that was. Right, send an email, they don't have to send emails.
Because we can examine that later. Once we know what was. They have, they do. Well, I'm not sure.
As a whole, it's, you know, right here. But now, I mean, everything's.
I'm like, no, she's talking about
Now
Okay, well, because I was like,
Why do we even have? I know, I was I wasn't still. State Farm said about 6 to 7. Which was up with us. That would
My daughter's a senior.
and so this is I know, and you still will in the house. Well, you still will in the house. See, I buy you one for
I mean, I can't speak for her, but I just try to and getting her for this, together, getting them to branch out. It's just different. It's just different. Yeah. So I can see it. I can see it. There was only one person that was serious, but we have a lot of youth. Oh, I agree. I agree. It's hard. And it depends on coaching too. Like all of the coaches will always stay in the city. So like my husband coached football, he would work until it was time to practice. I think it was like, I'm already dedicating my time. I'm not gonna try to develop for one kid when there's the 9 other kids having 6 months. So it's tough. But it has to be, no, but it has to be purposeful, and I think it needs to be something that we sit down and say, we need to make a better mission of splitting it up and figuring it out. And even it's tough, but it's like it has to be a purposeful conversation, and as long as there's your enrollment numbers are getting higher, so you're gonna get a lot of it. It's just fantastic. And I think like you guys with us elementary kids need to think we need to make sure we truly are in the community and figure out that in our always go there.
Yeah. I didn't want to stress that.
I mean, I'm there, I'm full gathers, but the ones who are just here.
Yeah.
And so there was a couple of times where we're like, well, we were talking about 5th grade team wanted not able to sit down.
Because we are not only supposed to
And Shelby lives in Dana City, so I did have Shelby this morning to go, if you want to meet a mom, you need to go. But you also live in Dana City, so you don't want to drive
in Bellwood, that's fine, we might not try it. But yeah. But you gotta take first goal.
And we're gonna be doing those things, yes.
It's crazy, it's not just the kids that are unified, it's the parents, like, look at our families, we all drive a lot, kids,
I think now, like I said, I mean, it's good to see your numbers are going up, because I know for a lot of years it's not. And it was really low when you didn't have those kids.
Yes. On that one.
Yes. She maybe showed up for a little bit, but then.
Well, and I know.
But it's good to see the numbers, because now it's, not that it's even, but, yeah, let's see. We got like those.
Well,
And I know, and I was wondering, like, you guys, I'm sure, you know, you guys are more active in the coaching role. For years, like when my kids were doing the sports, there was nobody for us. And it would have been nice to have that voice. But when they're not coaching.
Oh, it does, yeah, it's bad.
All the time. We're gonna go to school too, that we feel most comfortable with. And if you guys are coaching, like, well, we feel comfortable here, we're gonna do it here. Like, that's absolutely valid.
So.
Softball tomorrow, we go right.
Where's that tomorrow?
I just say, for Jackson's, baseball tournament, Adams. Because there's so, 3 days, 3 nights in a row for one game, 3 nights. To Adams.
Is it just one day now, if they win?
They do, that's actually.
I would say one. I know, but like, it's just.
Oh, no, oh, my.
That's terrible.
Last year was.
Just see when she's back. I know they went to sign to that, huddle or maybe streaming. Yes, yes.
So you first check or just years?
Awesome.
3 years.
Yeah, your kids are going to do that. I was gonna say, Gary Mark
We're gonna done it. Hopefully it's a one-time thing.
Yes. I know So this way we just, you take the sheet, I'll take the sheet, you take that sheet, let's go. Get it done. So yeah, that'll be perfect.
Get a walker, and you'll be fine, you'll be fine.
Probably like cleaning and cooking, yeah.
This motion.
He's got this.
Prayer has the house clean.
I know.
Board came out of executive session at 8:29, so we are now moving on to personnel. Discuss, consider, take action on the coach's aid application.
Have an application from Dylan Medichka to help with boys wrestling, the volunteer coach's aid.
Entertain a motion to approve the coach's aid application.
So moved.
Moved by Marcus, seconded by Donnie. Justin?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Marcus?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Yes.
All right, future discussion and action items.
Sixth grade position and the facility advocates HVAC project for sure.
Okay.
And if there's anything else, let me know.
As we talked about, one of the goals, get into a
Staff?
meeting.
Yep.
Let's do that, like, soon before we forget.
Yes, I was actually, yes, thank you.
Winter time.
Yep, I agree.
We can have the administrators let you know when their next faculty meetings are.
Yeah, that would be great if we could get an email that listed
They
all.
Lindsay and I both have ours, on the afternoon right before board meeting.
Okay.
So like, we both met today.
Okay, and so it'll be like that for next.
Yes.
That's how it is, okay. All right.
And I'm not for sure what the high schools are right now.
Put that together.
Yes,
And then we can.
We just kinda gotta say, request that we wanna be at a certain session, and that's all I got.
Yeah, shut up and,
Yep, I'll let you know when they are for November,
okay,
October, November.
thank you. Okay, with that, then I'll enter a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Casey, seconded by Marcus, all those in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
8:32.
8:32. Clean up shop.
Mark wants to get.
You want us? Mark wants to do it tomorrow? Yeah, because he's very particular on how he stacks them away. He did not
So
want
they
us
fit
to.
in the thing. And he needs to repair one of the racks, so he can do it while it's empty.
Yeah, he's very particular, so thanks for the offer, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, my college son called me while we were just meeting. Better go college. Trying to figure out.
Hopefully it's not a bad thing.
It's my oldest.
Oh, there you
So
go.
normally it means he needs to process.